Our first poet tonight is Karren LaLonde Alenier. She's the author of 8 poetry collections, the latest being How We Hold On from Broadstone Books 2021. Looking for Divine Transportation won the 2002 Towson University Prize for Literature. Gertrude Stein Invents a Jump early on is Karren's jazz opera with composer Bill Banfield, which premiered in June 2005 in New York with Encompass New Opera Theater. Karren is currently working on a set of 3 books that promote Gertrude Stein's Tender Buttons. She promotes other people's poetry through book publication and public programs at the Word Works. More at www.alenier.com. Please welcome Karren Alenier.
What a pleasure it is to read here. I'm really thrilled. Welcome to everyone in this audience, and thank you for making the Rivertown Poet Series a great place to read. Thank you, Sandra Anfang, Carolyn Wright, and Hiram LaRue for creating this opportunity. In the 8 poems I will present, the operative word is love, along with its variety and complications of the human condition. This one is for Patty, Susan, and Nancy, who heard me read it on a boat taking us from Capri to Sorrento after I wrote it. Canto di Capri, Song of Capri. The cock crows. I awake facing the sea from Capri. Emotion, like Italian conversation, comes up like the sun rising. Last night, thunder cracked over the sea, lighting the way to Africa. I could have walked on air, a Madonna floating above the hillside chapel, ascending to Anacapri. My days and dreams are colored with the magenta of bougainvillea. Flowers, 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 and men singing unabashedly the canzoni d'amore. Despite the winds that whisper winter, why should I go home? I'll live in a grotto furnished with blue coral, cover myself with lilies, dine on calamari, and smile forever like a slice of the moon. In this time when most of us have curtailed travel, love of place becomes an ache in the heart we want to hold on to and believe we can be there again next time in San Francisco and the Bay Area. The next 2 poems come from my book, The Anima of Paul Bowles. Many of you probably know that Paul Bowles was a poet, novelist, and composer who was best known for his novel, The Sheltering Sky, which the Italian director Bernardo Bertolucci turned into a film. And he had a walking part on that in that movie too. In Bubbles' Cat, Paul's wife Jane, also a writer, is talking to Tennessee Williams about jealousy. Bubbles' Cat. Yes, Tennessee, I know about Bubbles' cat on a hot tin roof, that crazy-legged girl he once knew. She Charlestoned on the edge, the parapet of the Central Park South. How many stories up? 30, 32, 34? From the glittering sidewalk below, people hurried home from work or dragged their feet, not wanting to turn knobs, leading to conflict. But did she ever rescue a sheet of music that blew from Paul's hand? His Janie crawled out on that roof ledge over 10th Avenue to grab it while Paul froze, watching me. Paul Bowles told me he could not sleep, could not eat, that daughter of a lesbian, daughter of a rake could make trips to the men's toilets just to read the graffiti on the walls. A beautiful boy she could be. She was expelled from every school in the city, every academy in London. And yes, Tennessee, he lent her everything, books, records, money, talked 5.5 hours to her on the phone, blowing her kisses, laughing as she teased him. And still, he called her his only, only, only. In Off Course, Bernstein on Bowles, Leonard Bernstein tells us how Jane Auer and Paul Bowles came to marry. The poetic form is a curtal sonnet, which has 11 lines versus the typical 14. And that 11th line is a spondee, or 2 strong syllables. Maybe you can guess what the last 2 words of this poem are. Off Course, Bernstein on Bowles. Marriage, a strange pipe dream Jane and Paul culled from scenarios rife with randy things, bound to jolt their parents and good friends too. No shock to Lenny B. I know how bold, how bent my friend Paul on juvenile flings. I mean, his Christian father with a Jew? Jane Gimpy Kike Dyke as daughter-in-law? Paul, such a Romeo. Oh, I hear strings. Queer bait, Paul, sea legs, Jane, too much to chew. To be first mate, catch them swear as ship yawls. I do. This is the subject matter is what Janet Peachy and I are working on. We are collaborating on this new opera. Looking forward to getting that under public view at some point, maybe, who knows, next year. You never know. The next poems come from my latest book, How We Hold On. And I noticed that Larry Moore, who's the publisher, is in the audience. I am so pleased to see you here, Larry. I love this book. Anyway, from Sea Legs, we move into the more sure-footed dance. Into the Universe I Placed My Call is a triolet, a poem of 8-line stanzas with 2 refrains. I'd call this a traditional love poem. This one is for Hal. Into the universe I placed my call. Into the universe I placed my call, then I went dancing. Across the ballroom, who knew what thrall? Into the universe I placed my call. He said he felt the magnetic charge fall. Nothing was more entrancing. Into the universe I placed my call. Then I went dancing. The way the eyes move reveal the inner chemistry. He was minding his own groove. The way the eyes move expressed he had nothing to prove except his pure artistry. The way the eyes move reveal the inner chemistry. In all good dancing, the eyes lead. Head, body, hands, feet follow. Pick your partner carefully to succeed. In all good dancing, the eyes lead. Rumba, salsa, tango, swing. Seed the life force. Allure also. In all good dancing, the eyes lead. Head, heart, hands, feet follow. We all want perfect love, where genes meet in bliss. Who can predict what comes from above? We all want perfect love. Please, we plead for hand and glove, or at least one salient kiss. We all want perfect love, where genes meet in bliss. The Bell Sonnet is a love song in our current time of turbulence. The form takes its lead from Sherman Alexie's Sonnet Without Salmon. It is in 14 parts, unlike the typical sonnet with its 14 lines. The Bell Sonnet. 1. When the bell sounds, the vibration heals. 2. The man I called father hit a cowbell for comic relief and then blew smoke rings. 3. In our 20s, my friend whose name is pronounced Bell, but is spelled B-E-A-L-L, said we must say boldly, we are poets. 4. Don't ask, John Donne preached, for whom the bell tolls. Appropriating these words, Hemingway wrote, the death of even one Spaniard mattered to everyone. 5. The singing bowl lowers the heart rate and blood pressure. 6. Could it be Dad asked, packing the bowl of his pipe, that years of sitting on my drummer's stool caused the tumor in my hip? 7. My friend named Bell earned his PhD looking at the stars, especially the imploded ones. He opined, sometimes you eat the bar and sometimes the bar eats you. 8. At the southern border, Ollie Ollie Oxenfree is not a dinner bell ringing. 9. In the great bell chant, Thich Nhat Hanh's bell penetrates the cosmos to stop suffering and open the Dharma door to the beautiful child in the heart of a lotus. 10. I can still feel the roughness of my father's feet as I soothed them with smoothing cream or ointment. He was 17 on a WW2 merchant marine ship when he first lit up, 57 when the lung cancer war took him down. 11. In the military, Dr. Bell learned to make bombs. Now he sells his students on poetry. 12. In 2045, census projects the United States will become minority white at 49.8%, with the Hispanic population at the next highest percent of 24.6. 13. This is the bellwether feared by angry white men who worry that women who are free to choose might not have been their mothers. 14. The first time the Liberty Bell rang, these words were spoken. We hold these truths to be self-evident. Aromatherapy is definitely a form of love, and so I present the relevance of mint. The relevance of mint. I breathe mint from his garden. Preferring rose hips and lemon verbena, my lover grows peppermint and spearmint for my tea generously. Today I snip stalks and share the aromatic feast with Jonathan and Beverly, the new parents of Johnny, born 18 days into June, anniversary of Edda's birth, the grandmother I lost during my first trip abroad. Much later, at a table detailed with red rose petals, I savored the ceremony of Moroccan mint tea. But I fell in love with mint when I carried my son Ivan. His name is John too, but in Russian. I called my Russian grandfather Honey because my mom's mom, Edda, summoned her husband Saul, no matter his mistresses, in that sweet way. The Lord is gracious. And so it is that Johnny, Jonathan, Ivan, Hank, Hans, Ian, Jack, John, Johann, Juan, Sean, Shane, Vanya, and Zane all mean John. The Lord is gracious. I breathe mint and mix honey into the tea I brew from the leaves my sweetheart grew in his garden. These fragrant leaves that sing, he loves me. The gardens of Jamaica have many unusual plants, including the sweet pudding-like fruit called sweet sop. Sweet sop bebop is a paradel, a form created by Billy Collins. The paradel stands out for its exact repetitions and its word salads. Sweet sop bebop. On the road to Negril, we buy sweet sop. On the road to Negril, we buy sweet sop. Driver didn't say aphrodisiac. Driver didn't say aphrodisiac. Didn't say to Negril, driver, we buy sweet sop aphrodisiac on the road. So many ruts and goats along the way. So many ruts and goats along the way. Two hummingbirds rock to music pulsing. Two hummingbirds rock to music pulsing. The way ruts, so many goats and hummingbirds, two pulsing along to rock music. Delivered to the cliffs, we wave goodbye. Delivered to the cliffs, we wave goodbye. Trade egg winter, shelled, cold for fragrant fruit. Trade egg winter, shelled, cold for fragrant fruit. For the winter egg delivered wave cold to fragrant cliffs, we trade shelled fruit goodbye. Humming, we say, goodbye to cold winter. Many birds and goats along the road trade music for shelled egg to fruit so fragrant. Negril cliffs pulsing on the rockway, delivered to ruts. Wave to the driver, didn't we buy sweet sop, aphrodisiac? I end with my signature poem, Leo on Seesaw, which is also part of my jazz opera with Bill Banfield. Gertrude Stein invents a jump early on. And certainly I couldn't leave without mentioning Gertrude because, you know, this wonderful series comes from the place where she grew up as a girl. Thank you all for joining this Zoom and for listening.